所以，来吧，备下龙，在平安中，阿泰来，戴上王冠，巴拉，他的新郎，波伊卡拉，来吧，新娘。这是一首优美的希伯来婚礼歌曲，仿佛天上的天使在呼唤等待了6000年的新娘，勇敢地站出来，为将要来临的天上君王戴上荣耀的冠冕。
The fourth plenary session end in a dead end. Xi's family is besieged on all sides. The fourth plenary session has finally come to an end. On the surface, it is very glamorous. Xi Jinping still controls all kinds of power, as if he is a more stable statue. In fact, the more glamorous it is, the more rotten it is inside. It is the cheapest and most effective to use words and surfaces to cover up the rotten interior, because the people have been brainwashed by them to the point of almost no brain. But no matter how brainless, as long as you think about it with your bottom, you will know how many problems there are. Let's list them. 1. More than 20% of the members were absent from the closing ceremony of the fourth plenary session. The Lao Deng YouTube channel just counted how many members were absent, and the result was as many as nearly 60 people. This is indeed unprecedented in a meeting of only 200 to 300 people, because everyone is afraid of the sword and blood, so it is best to avoid it. 2. The military commission and the military region are paralyzed. It is already very lucky for the senior military officials to not be lightly counted. The 11 alternate members who were promoted to members once again skipped 5 to 6 senior military officials. According to the usual practice, those who were skipped must be the ones who had an incident pending, often means loss of power. Therefore, the commanders and political commissars of the major military regions of the military were basically purged. Even Jiang Xingmin, who took down 9 generals in a high-profile manner, making Xi and Kai unprepared, was promoted to vice chairman of the Central Military Commission, but he was not a member of the political bureau. Now it's good, the 2 vice chairmen are both from the Tuei Bei 2 with their own bows, one on the left and one on the right, while the one at the bottom is the one with the golden sword. Do you think she is surrounded by enemies and cannot escape? 3. Kai Chi really wanted to die. The military suddenly announced the handling of 9 generals a few days before the fourth plenary session. This was actually to deter Xi's own people, so even Xi's most trusted confidant, Xi's first butler and thug, Kai Chi, was caught off guard. If these 9 people were personally approved by Xi, but Kai Chi was not notified, then Kai Chi would have to be like a hungry dog going to the toilet, looking for death, shit. No wonder this person has not recovered for a few days, and does not know what to do with CCTV. If Xi and Kai have a good relationship, can the problem be solved with a phone call? Why is it so difficult? If this was not done by Xi, and even Xi did not know about it, then it would be interesting, and Xi and Tsai would really become the vegetables in someone else's pot. So this matter itself is a bad omen, but no matter how bad the omen is, it cannot compare to the next one. 4. Abnormal military mobilization, air and land ban in Beijing. During the fourth plenary session, the military was transferred to many places across the country in a high-profile manner. This was actually a play for those who were secretly interested in it, so that they could be careful. It should be known that when the authorities began to be on high alert, they entered the final stage of the four-faced Buddha. Any flying objects are prohibited in the air, and any non-Beijing personnel are prohibited from entering Beijing on the ground. It is really on high alert, and Lao Shi is frightened. That's for sure. You killed so many people, so you don't allow people to fight back. Now God hasn't taken Xi's life, but he wants to continue to drive him crazy, and finally take away the people who helped him do evil. 5. Xi and Zhang are deadly rivals. No matter how close they were as friends, no matter how close they were as childhood friends, no matter how much they colluded, at this moment, Xi and Zhang have no choice but to fight to the death. Xi wants to be the dictator, only one in power, and facing Zhang, such a competitor, if he doesn't kill him as already raised in the red flag, he will definitely not be able to be the dictator. But Zhang also had his own difficulties. He had to prevent Xi from kicking him aside after he had served his purpose, so he had to get rid of all of Xi's possible replacements for him, even potential ones. But at the same time, Zhang also has to face other people, and the prevention of Zhang to become military dictator is more important than the prevention of Xi. After all, if the army stages a coup and establishes a military regime, the CCP will be destroyed. This is why Zhang cannot stage a coup to take down Xi, nor can he obey Xi's orders, and ultimately he will kill himself. Old Zhang is like a rat in a bellows, getting it pushed from both ends. This is why everyone sees them fighting to the death in the dark, while on the surface they are still polite to each other. After all, they still have to use each other, but in their hearts they all want to strangle the other to death. 6. An inadequate leader for his dictator position will surely lead to a great disaster. The reason why heaven has allowed this person to reach the point he is at now is to use him to ignite the flames of the great disaster of the end of the world. Xi Jinping is not virtuous enough to be in that position, so he is like a hedgehog sitting in that position, stabbing everyone to death. This is why he promotes and then knocks down. Because no matter who he promotes, as long as they are promoted, they will say, "I am not convinced. You are not virtuous and incompetent. Why do you point fingers at me?" Not only Zhang Youxia and Kai Chi will think this way, but even if you go to the street and ask any old man or old woman, everyone will say and do this. This is the root of the problem. Although bayonets can temporarily make the other party appear obedient, they are not convinced in their hearts and will eventually become an anti-Xi force. No matter who he promotes, this is the ending. If he promotes people with a moral bottom line, they will let Xi off the hook because of their own bottom line. But when he only promotes people who are loyal to him without a bottom line, those who obey him without a bottom line will inevitably deal with him without a bottom line once the conditions are ripe or they are threatened. This is an unsolvable vicious cycle. The only antidote is that he can make everyone have awe of him. This is definitely not something that can be blown out by bragging, but something that has been done in the past few decades and exchanged for life. For example, Zhang Youxia exchanged his life for the army's upward channel when he was young. No matter who he was in front of, he had risked his life on the battlefield. But what about you, Xi? From beginning to end, it was all about stealing and having affairs. In the end, he even sacrificed human life to perform witchcraft for his power and benefit. These things cannot improve his moral status at all, but are immoral. 7. External troubles continued, and Yang Lanlan run away. Her lawyer promised the judge that she would plead guilty next time, so the judge gave her another chance. After all, it was a good thing for the local area to be able to sentence her without a trial, saving money and effort. It should be noted that the local area did not treat Yang Lanlan as a VIP, but as an ordinary case. However, for the Xi family, once she was sentenced to prison, even for a few months, it would be impossible to protect her. There is also justice in Western prisons. At the beginning, the pedophile who sexually assaulted young children escaped the severe trial of the court, but was beaten to death by justice in prison. It should be noted that in that harsh environment, people's hearts are justice. If your court is unfair, this group of people will do it themselves. It is conceivable that people like Yang Lanlan would be torn to pieces if they went there. This is actually a warning from hell, and hell is 100 times more fierce than this. At that time, those who have done many evils will be treated fairly. The CCP is the best at infiltrating the forces of the underworld. This is why the Hong Kong underworld eventually became the CCP's thugs and the black thugs who suppressed the anti-extradition movement. I remember seeing a report that before the 1997 handover, the CCP called all the factions of the underworld and let their leaders go in to see the CCP boss one by one. As a result, everyone who came out was sweating and shrinking, and from then on they listened to the CCP's arrangements. This is actually the CCP's usual method, that is, to force you to kill and bleed, and finally obediently obey orders, until you are used up, you are the next Yu Menglong, whether it is live organ harvesting or sexual assault, anyway, you have become a dead person. She knows how many people are looking for him to take his life. If they can't get him, it is certain that they will get his beloved. The CCP does not have the ability to control every Australian prison. Therefore, as long as Yang Lanlan is imprisoned for a few months, something big will happen. This is why she did not even want the huge bail and fled quickly. It is highly probable that she will return to China by finding a container ship in a port, just like Zhang Shoucheng. Outside, as long as she does not commit suicide or go missing, it will be over. 8. The Yu Menglong case that could not be suppressed. This was not a big deal for Xi, but now it cannot be suppressed, and the 17 murderers are fleeing every place and have all gone into hiding. I heard that some have fled to Taiwan, which is really the right place to hide. If they were to be seen on the street, they would be dragged directly to the temple to offer sacrifices to Yu Menglong. In the past, after she had done these dirty things, he could deal with these thugs again. It is estimated that 6 or 7 out of 10 would be silenced, and those who should be plasticized would be plasticized. The rest, like Zhao Wei, would have to run away quickly. Next, there would be the sacrifices below. This time, it was good that he did not even dare to kill the 17 participants. He could only let them hide quickly. These were all living time bombs. Maybe one day they would fall into the hands of the opposite side and explode all over the world. According to Xi's usual practice, it was absolutely impossible for these people to be left alive. But now Xi could not even take care of himself, so how could he take care of those messy things? It is now very difficult for Xi to find thugs to do the next round of sacrifices. Everyone has concerns, and even those who protect Xi probably want to avoid him, otherwise it would not be fun if it fell on their own heads one day. Therefore, the warriors should have been in place, but God wants to use Xi as a knife to cut his left and right arms to a state of being worse than death, but death is far away. 9. Everyone should be careful when they are desperate. People are most afraid of despair. Once they are desperate, they will definitely attack the people around them. What he has done. Well, Qin Gang suddenly appeared. Why? Why at this moment? Is it the real Qin Gang? The problem is, if it is the real Qin Gang, why is there only one photo, and it is so far away? If it is fake, a stand-in, why would someone think of releasing a stand-in at this time? If it was Zhang who did it, then he is telling everyone to check the Qihue Art Museum, where there should be a plasticized statue of Qin Gang. It should be noted that Lianhe Zhaobao is a Chinese newspaper in Singapore, which is the point where the anti-Xi faction releases the wind. Do you still remember the anti-Xi remarks of the former Prime Minister's wife? But if it was Xi who did it, then it would be even more interesting. The possibility of this is less than 10%. That would be to comfort those who follow them, and tell them not to listen to the rumors that Qin Gang is dead, and to work hard for me. But what is strange is that it was actually in a highly controversial art gallery, unless there was highbrow satire from an insider. Look, don't these aspects indicate that Xi Jinping is not only losing power, but also being besieged on all sides? It's just that God is forcing him to do the craziest thing. There are two possibilities. A. To attack Taiwan at all costs, B. To perish with the whole world. Everyone should be careful. The great disaster may start at any time, just as Jesus said, on the day it happened, people were still getting married and marrying, and on the day people didn't expect, the great flood came. Of course, God's people still knew it, and Methuselah meant that when he died, he would be sent. What to send? The Great Flood. The Great Flood began on the 7th day after Methuselah's death. Today, Enoch finally knows that Methuselah is going to replace Joseph, because Joseph's Yu Menglong has left, so either 7 days or 7 weeks, the Great Flood will come. Xi Jinping's family will inevitably be judged.